Alright guys, this is going to be a review of the Canik 55 TP9. Um, I wanted to discuss a couple things that were really important to me that I couldn't get a definitive answer on in some of the other reviews I watched. By now you guys have probably seen Nut Fancy's review. He basically says go and buy the pistol now. The only thing is he's one of the conflicts that says the single action trigger is very heavy and harsh. The other 80% of videos say it's 5 pound. He says it's 9 pound. And then there's some other people that say it's super heavy. So I'm curious as to why that's such a huge difference, and if maybe they actually ship with a different mechanism in a different shipment. Since they're from Turkey, it's really hard to get accurate information on stuff like that. So it's hard to tell, but mine and the three that I've handled, I side with the other people who say it's a 5 pound or less single action trigger. And that was the main thing for me when I wanted to buy this was, I was like, that's too inconsistent so I had to go handle one. So I drove an hour and a half down to where there was one, handled it, and loved it. And the single action trigger is just as nice and comparable to any of the other polymer pistols. And as a matter of fact, it was nicer than a couple of them. And I can't remember which ones because I was handling an XD, an M&P, a Glock, and it was nicer than most of them. It was shorter, and it was just as light, if not lighter. So I was like, hey. And it had no safety dongle on the trigger, which I prefer. So if you're interested in this gun and you're worried about the trigger, I would say go for it, man. I would say go for it. The chances are you're going to get a single action 5 pound pull, which is lighter than most. So that's one thing I wanted to clear up right away. The only thing I can say is mine shipped with a double turkey. Some ship with a dolphin stamp. Possibly they shipped with different trigger mechanisms, heavier springs, different hooks, different trigger bar leverage designs. Or maybe something is actually wrong with the few that have this super heavy single action trigger. Maybe something's getting caught in the mechanism and making it a lot harder than it should be to pull. I don't know. But anyways, let's go through this real quick. Safety check, loaded, of course. No rounds in the chamber, so we are safe. So you saw I just cocked it, and let's assume I'm ready to rock and roll and shoot. You set the trigger, which is really neat. It sets for the super short single action. You've got a wall. You've got, a really short take up, okay? So let's do it with this finger. Short take up. You hit the wall, and it's super clean. I mean, there's nothing to pull through. There's just a wall, a ledge, and about 5 pounds of pressure later, it's through. It resets right about there too. So I mean, it's super short, super easy to shoot. Okay, other thing is if it's cocked, and let's say you were shooting and you're in the middle of a magazine and you go, alright, I'm done, I want to go home, but I want to carry this loaded on the way home for safety. Well, you probably don't want it running around with a trigger like that. Sure, you could if you want to. I mean, the holster blocks the trigger guard, but the more well-accepted way is in double action mode. That's where the decock comes in handy. Well, you're in single action, you got one in the pipe, but you're done. Bingo! It's in double action now. There's an internal safety, so when you press this and you release the striker, it won't fire the round in the chamber, unless the trigger's pulled. So there's that. It comes with 2 magazines that are top quality. You'll hear different things. Mine didn't fit 18 rounds. Mine's only 17 rounds. Mine will fit 18 rounds. The 18th round is very difficult to get in, but it will. You have to imagine, by the time you push the spring all the way down there, there's a lot of pressure. But, like I said, it does hold 18 rounds. Both of mine do. So there's an 18 plus 1 potential there. If you don't want to overload them, then 17's it's much easier to get that 17th round in there. Top quality stuff, though. These are great magazines. I've had 0 problems with the magazines. I've had 0 problems with this gun, period. I've shot about 600 rounds through it so far. It comes with Serpa-like holster. that I'll tell you right off the bat is loose. Stick it in there and it wobbles a lot when you first get it. I stuck some things in there. I recommend you do something right off the bat to line it, just a hair. It's only loose a small amount, but it is loose. Otherwise, it's going to rattle a lot, and it's going to probably scratch itself more than it needs to. So stick something in there, some moleskin or something. I use some little band-aids for your like planter's warts because they have really strong adhesive. They're like padded little things. Comes with a cleaning kit, and then it comes with front posts to adjust for elevation, which is cool. If you're a hand loader and you shoot a lot of different rounds, different loads, you may actually get way difference in your elevation, so that's cool on the hand loader. The rear sight is windage adjustable. They are just polymer, but the P99, the Walther P99 sights will work in this. I'm positive. Even though this has a weird square design and not a dovetail, they will work. So if you wanted to get steel sights or whatever. But there is a nice notch on it if you wanted to try to rack it with one-handed. But mine shoots dead on, I mean just dead on point of aim at, pistol ranges, 20, 25, 30 yards. It's dead on. With all the ammo I've used so far, it's close enough. Sometimes I have to adjust a little bit with different ammo, but it's so close it's pretty much doesn't matter. Came with 2 back straps. I used the larger one, even though it didn't feel all that great. It's not like it felt better than the small one. I used the large one, and I found out over 600 round of testing that this gives me a lot more control over muzzle flip. I think because the whole strap comes up into the beaver tail and kind of, I don't know, gets you a little higher to the bore axis maybe. So let's talk about reliability. 600 rounds of varying ammo. I fired it dirty for about 350, and then the rest, all I did was clean up the feed wrap. I just wiped off the feed wrap, and that was it. I sprayed a little bit of lube on the slide to frame, and I had 0 failures to feed, 0 failures, 0. So that is much more than I can say for a lot of what I would consider very reliable semi-auto pistols that I own. But in the first 500-600 rounds, I did have some sort of an issue one way or the other. Most were with the magazines getting stuck and not feeding all the way up to the very top, so it wasn't. So therefore, I was having problems going up the ramp when I try to get them into battery. But anyways, more than I can say for any other pistol. The ergonomics are super nice. There's just enough texture, just enough grooves. It feels kind of smooth, but when you actually grab this thing, I mean, it's not moving. It's not moving at all. With the finger grooves between that and then the slots in it and the stippling and this, you're not moving. It's plenty sticky, even when your hands are slippery. So yeah, 100% reliable. Now let's talk about quality. Quality. The barrel to slide lockup is the best I've ever seen. And no, I'm not kidding. I'm sure that some H&Ks and maybe some SIGs have ultra tight lockup. But in comparison to the M&P, the Walther PPX, the XD, the Glock, the barrel to slide lockup on this is, I mean, tight. There's 0 movement in the barrel, between the barrel and the slide. Now there is play between the slide and the frame, like most guns have, which I prefer. That actually does play a gigantic role in reliability, because if something's just a hair off, it can still slide. If it was extremely dirty, it still has some room to slide. So, and that does not affect your accuracy whatsoever, because your sights are fixed to your slide. Your slide is 100% locked up to your barrel, so it's going to reproduce the same accuracy every time. Yeah, other than that, it's nice and thin. Compared to my 1911, it is, of course, a hair fatter because this is double stacked. But the one thing I really like about this is they kept everything super thin. These The disassembly lever barely sticks out. And what I really like is the slide lever. They made it to where it's very smooth across this way and just enough. I mean, it's easy to actuate. I've had no problems actuating it. So they kept it super thin. And so it is completely carryable. I can still carry a full-size 1911, and a lot of people think that's too big, but this has an inch shorter barrel and about the same sized handle. So, it's definitely doable. There's nothing wrong with it. The only downside compared to a full-size 1911 is that it's wider. Just a hair, but it is wider. So, that does play. That's kind of like the most important thing to me, the thickness. The thinner it gets, the easier it feels to hide. Because there's ways, you can change where you set it to get the handle up out of your way and things like that. But it's totally carryable. Don't the people that say, "Oh, I only concealed carry a gun this big." You can concealed carry this. Just be smart. Figure out a way to do it. And that's about that, guys. You cock it. Gives you a little indicator. Okay, it's cocked, so you know it's in single action. Then you can see brass in here. There's just a gap, so you can see brass if you're loaded chamber, and also the extractor here sticks out when nothing's there. So you could just feel the serrations and stick it. You could feel that bump there. Okay, there's nothing in the chamber. When there is something in the chamber, it pushes it down past flat. So when you slide, all you feel is serrations. So there's two different ways to tell if there's something in the chamber. And the disassembly is as simple as pulling those down and pushing that forward. It doesn't get any easier than that, guys. There's just one step. So, come on, man. Top quality stuff on the inside. No tooling marks. Steel guide rod. And most of you know some of these guys are trying to give us plastic guide rods now. Some of the more expensive guys. That's bullshit. This needs to be steel, in my opinion. And sure, plastic may last 7 million rounds, but steel will for sure last 7 million rounds, or at least that much more likely. Buy the gun. It can't be recommended highly enough. And forget the for the money thing. Oh, it's for the money. It's good. No. This pistol is good. If I didn't know any better, and if you didn't know any better, you might just buy this pistol for $500 and be 100% happy. So, there's my opinion, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you buy this pistol. I have no personal stake in it, but I'm all for finding those little gems that are kind of hidden out there, and this is one of them. This is one of those things that is a very nice price, and you get way more than what you pay for. And I think I owe it to the gun community to say that to you. So, yeah, buy the pistol, man. I really doubt you'll be disappointed. If you like the ergonomics of the PPQ or the P99, this is the gun for you guys. So try it out.